I'm Morgan Keene. I design custom jewelry for a living. Vera Wang clients, Instagram brides, you name it. But the most important piece I ever held wasn't made for a customer. It was for me. My fiancé, Dylan, designed it 2 months before the accident. He was a gemologist, obsessed with light refraction and the way platinum could curve like it was soft. He'd worked on the ring in secret for weeks, cutting a VVS2 blue-white diamond until it practically glowed, setting it in hand-brushed platinum with halo accents. His masterpiece. He proposed on a rainy Sunday in Asheville, right under a dogwood tree where we'd first kissed. I said yes through tears, laughter, disbelief. A month later, he was gone. A drunk driver. A 6-second mistake. All I had left was that ring. It was insured at $590,000. But last week, I came home and the box was empty. Just the velvet outline like a corpse had vanished. I rushed to the kitchen, thinking maybe I moved it. Checked drawers, jewelry trays, coat pockets. Nothing. Then Mom walked in. Casual. Like she was telling me we ran out of milk. She said, "It's just sitting there, honey." Jeanette needed this retreat to find herself. Like it was a damn book she borrowed. Not the last piece of Dylan I had. I froze. Everything in me went still and screaming at once. Jeanette, my younger sister, the wellness coach, the family favorite, was off to Bali for a $30,000 spiritual reset. Apparently my ring was her ticket. Mom didn't cry, didn't apologize. She actually smiled like she'd done something generous. "It's helping her heal. We didn't think you'd mind." Didn't think I'd mind. Didn't think I'd notice, apparently. I didn't scream. I couldn't. My voice vanished with the ring. My knees buckled against the edge of the counter, and I slid to the floor, dizzy. Mom tried to pat my shoulder like that would fix it. "We know you're still grieving, but Jeanette's mental health is a priority right now." As if I was just in the way. I sat on that kitchen tile for an hour after she left, staring at the spot where the box had been. Dylan had designed that ring with a clause in the insurance policy. If it was ever stolen, the claim would trigger an automatic estate review, a backup plan. But that night, I couldn't move, couldn't think. Just remembered the sound of his laugh when he showed me the sketch, and the promise he whispered when he slipped it on my finger. "This is for your legacy, Morgan. Don't ever let anyone touch it." I didn't sleep. The next morning, Jeanette's Instagram stories went live. First slide, her smiling under a waterfall in Ubud, captioned, "Healing isn't linear, dizzy." Second, a video of her sipping a gold-dusted smoothie with the caption, "Womb chakra aligned." Heart open. I sat in my dark apartment, scrolling, sick to my stomach, and then the third story hit me like a freight train. Jeanette on a cliffside, windswept hair, soft focus filter, wearing my ring on a chain around her neck. Like it was costume jewelry, like it meant nothing. I hadn't spoken to my parents since. I couldn't, but that image stayed with me, my ring dangling from her throat like a prize she didn't earn. And all I could think about was the Christmas I got a clearance sweater from TJ Maxx, while Jeanette unwrapped a MacBook for her self-esteem. The same MacBook she later used to launch her coaching brand, which mostly involved selling detox teas and reposting other people's quotes. I picked up the only photo of Dylan I kept framed, our last beach trip, his eyes squinting from the sun, arm wrapped tight around me. I could feel the indent in the wood where my thumb rested. My hands were trembling. My throat burned, like I'd swallowed glass. I didn't know what I'd do next. I didn't even know how to speak. But something in me cracked. Not like breaking. Like a door finally opening. I didn't get out of bed for 3 days. Didn't brush my hair. Barely ate. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, like it might open up and explain why people who scream the loudest for healing are always the ones who do the most damage. Jeanette's Bali updates kept coming. She posted a reel of herself in a silk robe on a balcony. Day 3 of my trauma release retreat. If you're still holding on to pain, ask yourself why. I watched that one 12 times, because behind her, gleaming in the sun, was my ring. Still on that chain. Still dangling like a cursed charm she had no business touching. Commenters called her brave, a survivor, a beacon of light. And the more I scrolled, the more I remembered all the times my parents had handed her my worth and called it generosity. Like the time I got a state scholarship and Mom didn't even come to the award ceremony because Jeanette had a bad reaction to a facial and needed support. Or the time Dylan and I threw a dinner party, and Dad left halfway through to go pick Jeanette up from a guy's apartment she claimed she couldn't vibe with. They always came running for her, even when she wasn't in trouble, especially when she wasn't. And me? I had to break bones to get noticed. I pressed my palm against the photo frame of Dylan and me. It was warm from where I'd held it too tight. I whispered, "I'm sorry," like he could still hear me. Because I'd failed. I didn't protect the one thing he left me. I should have locked it up, hidden it, trusted no one. But part of me still believed, still wanted to believe, that they wouldn't do something like this. That even if they didn't love me loudly, they wouldn't hurt me this deeply. I was wrong. On the fourth day, I got a text from Mom. No hello, no apology. Just, "Can you wire $2,000 for your dad's dental surgery?" Jeanette's retreat maxed our card. I stared at it, blinked, read it again. They wanted money. After stealing a $500,000 ring, they still had the audacity to ask me for cash. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was so ridiculous I couldn't even feel anger yet. Just disbelief. I typed out a reply. "I'll send $500. I need to recenter." They didn't even thank me. Didn't ask if I was okay. Didn't mention the ring. That night, I went back and watched the proposal video Dylan made on his old camcorder. His voice cracked when he pulled out the ring. He'd said, "This is your legacy. Don't ever let anyone touch it." And I realized something I hadn't let myself admit before. They hadn't just taken the ring. They'd filed a claim on the insurance too. Under my name. Because I'd set it all up through our shared family policy years ago, back when I thought trust meant something. I checked the app. Sure enough, there it was. High-value item payout initiated. Account, Lorraine Keene. My mother had used my identity to file a claim. Claimed theft. But they weren't calling the police. Because they were the thieves. That was the moment I knew. The grief stopped feeling like drowning. And started to feel like fire. I didn't cry. Didn't throw things. I got calm. Sharp. I texted Callie, my friend, and a probate lawyer who once made a judge cry from embarrassment. I wrote, "You still doing estate disputes?" She replied instantly, "Always. What happened?" I didn't answer right away. Just started gathering every receipt, every document Dylan had left me. I had a feeling this story wasn't over. Then, another ping from Callie. Also, check this. Attached were screenshots. A Reddit thread. Posted under u/healingmama57. Title, "Am I wrong for selling my daughter's heirloom ring to fund a wellness trip for her grieving sister?" I clicked. Read every word. The story was twisted into knots of fake sympathy. She painted me as selfish, as someone who hoarded grief and refused to let Jeanette heal her inner wounds. And the comments? Thousands of them. Calling me cold, bitter, unforgiving. One stood out. Some people never process loss. They just treat memories like trophies. It was anonymous, but the writing was familiar. Jeanette. She'd joined the thread. To add fuel. To humiliate me publicly while playing victim. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I deleted my Instagram. Closed my Facebook. Canceled every auto payment still linked to their phone plan or gym memberships. Blocked them from my Venmo. Then I called Callie. And I said 3 words. Let's begin proceedings. I didn't just want justice. I wanted clarity. Not revenge, not chaos, just clarity. So that when I walked away, I never had to look back again. Callie met me at our usual spot. A tiny wine bar tucked into the corner of a repurposed fire station. No neon lights. No music loud enough to distract. Just honesty and oak. I slid a folder across the table. She flipped it open, brows lifting. "Oh, this isn't just shady. This is felony-level stupid." I almost smiled. Inside were the policy details, Dylan's trust documents, the insurance clause he had updated 3 months before his death. A clause that said if the ring was ever reported lost, stolen, or destroyed, it would automatically trigger a review of his full estate and any remaining unclaimed assets. And the kicker? That review would transfer administrative control to me if I could prove malicious intent. Callie's eyes sparkled with something between admiration and vengeance. "I've seen a lot of betrayals," she said. "But this is artistry." I nodded. "They thought I'd roll over." She leaned back. "They still think you have nothing." That's your leverage. She was right. They didn't know about the other account Dylan left me. The private one. The one with the stocks, the land co-owned under my name, and the savings bonds he'd transferred into a quiet trust that never pinged the family's radar. They thought they took everything. They had no idea I was sitting on enough leverage to make their Bali smoothies look like a Costco sample. So I let them believe I'd forgiven them. I even called my mom the next day, said I understood, said I just needed time, said maybe Jeanette really did need that trip. Mom sighed with relief. You've always been so reasonable, Morgan. Reasonable. That was their word for me. Quiet. Predictable. Easy to manipulate. I said, I might come by for Easter. I miss everyone. She practically sang through the phone. Oh, they'd be so happy to see you, especially Jeanette. I hung up and forwarded the voicemail to Callie. She wrote back, perfect, just keep collecting. So I did. I smiled through texts, sent a few friendly DMs, reshared one of Jeanette's healing journey reels with a heart emoji. She even replied, so glad you're finally seeing the light, Dizzy. Meanwhile, I was pulling up every document Dylan ever saved in our shared Dropbox. The man was meticulous. He had receipts, certificates, even a copy of a handwritten note. If anything happens to me, Morgan gets everything, no conditions. Callie filed the paperwork under quiet review. I kept my head down, and they kept spending money that wasn't theirs. The funny thing about people like Jeanette is, they think public praise is protection. That if they make enough noise online, no one will ever check the silence behind the scenes. But the more she posted, the more I saved. She had no idea that her rebirth brunch video would do more damage than anything I could say. Because there she was, standing on a balcony in Bali, holding my ring up to the camera like it was a prize. This symbolized pain, she said. I turned it into power. The video went viral. Her followers cried in the comments, but someone else saw it too. Dylan's sister, Ella. She sent me a voice note the next morning. Morgan, I didn't realize they took it. That it wasn't a copy. I'm so sorry. I hadn't spoken to Ella in over a year. We both disappeared after Dylan's funeral. Too much pain. Too many unspoken wounds. But she was back now. And angry. She forwarded the video to the lawyers handling Dylan's estate. 3 days later, I got a call. The audit had begun, not just of the insurance policy, but of every shared account my parents ever dipped into. And guess what? Their joint bank account? Frozen. Retreat payments? Blocked. Credit lines under my name? Shut down. Callie texted me a simple line. We're officially playing offense. I didn't reply. Just sat at my desk in my little Asheville studio, holding the smooth edge of a new sketch I was working on. A new ring. No stone this time. Just a clean band. I whispered, thank you, like Dylan could still hear me. Because his trust, the one they tried to erase, had just opened the door for everything they thought I couldn't touch. And I wasn't even finished yet. Jeanette flew back from Bali like she was returning from a pilgrimage. Her hair was lighter, her nose maybe sharper, and her ego? Somehow even bigger. She posted a video the moment her plane touched down. Back home, new woman. Trauma-free, debt-free, totally elevated. Can't wait to reconnect with the people who supported my healing journey, Yellow Heart. I watched it from the couch, wrapped in Dylan's hoodie. Debt-free? Cute. The only reason her retreat didn't max her credit card was because she'd stolen something she didn't earn. And the thing about spiritual rebirths, they don't hold up under legal audits. That same day, Jeanette threw a rebirth brunch. She rented out a rooftop venue in downtown Asheville, complete with vision boards, crystal water stations, and a backdrop that said, "Elevate, don't escape sparkles." She even invited Mom and Dad, which would have been fine if she hadn't live-streamed it. There she was, in a white wrap dress, holding my ring in the air during her toast. This piece symbolized my trauma, she said, but I alchemized it into strength. This is what healing looks like. Applause. Then, confetti cannons. Someone in the comments asked, OMG, where's the ring from? She replied, family heirloom, blessed energy. Within hours, the clip was everywhere. And guess who else saw it? The insurance company. The trust lawyers. And Callie. She sent me a screenshot with one sentence. That'll do. Turns out, when you file a claim saying something was stolen, and then broadcast that same item in your possession, that's called fraud. Their account was already frozen, but now the claim itself was under investigation. Jeanette didn't just break the law. She gift-wrapped the evidence and posted it in 4K. Meanwhile, I stayed quiet. No public call-outs. No petty Instagram captions. Just one short email to my family group thread. "You'll hear from Callie." Then I blocked every number tied to them, deleted my old photos, unfollowed, unsubscribed, unseen. And the best part? They couldn't even warn each other. Because the audit included a gag clause. Any attempt to interfere? More penalties. I sat in my studio that night, polishing a pendant Dylan once made from a moonstone. It was cloudy in the center, fractured, but beautiful. Kind of like me. Kind of like everything they tried to break. The next morning, I mailed the pendant to Ella with a note. "For your daughter. From her uncle, with love." She replied, "You're doing what he would have done." I didn't answer, just stared out the window as the spring rain tapped against the glass. Everything was falling into place, slowly, quietly, exactly the way I wanted. Because the goal wasn't to scream louder than them. It was to outlast them. Mom and Dad had no idea what else Dylan left me. Land in Jackson County. Stocks under my name. Even a small stake in a luxury gem brokerage that had quietly appreciated over the last 2 years. They assumed I'd spent all my grief money on candles and therapy. But I'd invested, built, prepared. And now I had the one thing they never did. Leverage wrapped in silence. Callie called that evening. "Update," she said. "They tried to access their retirement account. Denied." I exhaled. Not from joy. From relief. I wasn't taking anything they didn't already forfeit. I was just reminding them that not every daughter stays small, that not every silence means surrender, and that legacies, real legacies, don't die when someone does. They sharpen, they learn, they wait. The call came on a Tuesday morning. Not from Mom, not from Jeanette, but from a lawyer, one I didn't recognize. He left a voicemail that started with pleasantries and ended with, "Hoping to resolve this matter privately before escalation." I played it twice. They weren't trying to apologize. They were trying to contain it. But it was too late for that. The trust Dylan created had a trigger clause, a brilliant, obscure line of legal language that even Callie had called surgical. Once the ring was reported stolen and then publicly shown in the possession of a family member, the entire estate came under review. That meant every beneficiary, every transfer, every signature, all of it had to be recertified under legal scrutiny. And guess who handled the original paperwork? Callie. They couldn't slip past her. Couldn't confuse her. Couldn't buy time with fake tears and spiritual jargon. She told me, "They'll try to settle. They'll throw numbers and offers, but don't flinch." I didn't. I let the lawyer wait 3 full days before Callie replied. Her email was 1 sentence long. "Please direct all further communication to our filing office." No names. No warmth. No room for manipulation. They were used to me being emotional. Quiet. Hesitant. But now? Now I was untouchable. The next bomb dropped on Thursday. Callie called, and I could hear the satisfaction in her voice. "You sitting down?" "I'm always sitting these days." "Their second home? The one in Black Mountain?" I waited. Trust just seized it. My heart actually stuttered. That house was their pride. The place they used for family holidays, rented out during festival seasons, bragged about in every conversation with strangers. Gone. Just like that. Because the insurance fraud gave the trust legal cause to liquidate misappropriated assets. And since the retreat had been paid for with that money, it all counted. I didn't cry. I didn't cheer. I just whispered, "That's justice." Callie corrected me. "No, that's the beginning." Meanwhile, Jeanette's influencer deals were drying up. Turns out, when you're being investigated for felony fraud, sponsors don't want your face on their detox juice bottles. One by one, her partnerships dropped her. One even released a quiet statement. "We stand firmly against financial abuse, no matter how spiritual the packaging." I printed it and taped it inside my sketchbook. Call it petty. I call it documentation. Mom, on the other hand, sent me an email. Subject line, "Please, Morgan." It was 4 paragraphs of manipulative nostalgia. About my childhood laugh, my school art awards, the way I used to braid Jeanette's hair. She said, "We never meant to hurt you. We just didn't know how to handle your grief," as if their discomfort justified stealing from me. She ended with, "Your father's health is declining from the stress. We're a family. Can't we come together?" I stared at the screen. Then I clicked, reply, typed, "Dylan died once. You killed him again. Now you live with it." Then I hit send. No greeting. No goodbye. Just the truth. Later that night, I sat on the fire escape outside my apartment, legs curled up, tea cooling in my hands. I stared at the city lights flickering like scattered diamonds and thought, this was never about the ring. It was about control, about how they saw me. The easy daughter, the disposable one. But I wasn't that girl anymore. I was the executor now, the owner, the keeper of consequences. They thought I would stop there, that I'd be satisfied with a frozen account and a seized vacation house, that maybe I'd find closure. But this wasn't about closure. It was about truth. And I wasn't done yet. See, the brunch venue where Jeanette filmed her viral rebirth video? We subpoenaed them. Turns out they kept security footage for insurance purposes. So now, on top of Jeanette's live stream, we had a clean overhead angle of her holding up my ring like a trophy, smiling into the crowd, saying, "This ring helped me reclaim my power." That line? Admissible. We filed the footage as evidence in the civil claim and submitted it along with documentation from the insurance provider confirming that the payout had already been collected using my name. That's not just theft, that's fraud, identity misuse, and violation of trust estate conditions. Callie called it a, quote, legal hat trick. Jeanette called it a witch hunt in her latest apology video. Yep. She posted a full 9-minute monologue on Instagram Live, crying softly while wrapped in a beige throw blanket. Said she was being emotionally blackmailed by someone who never learned to process loss. Her followers were divided. Half believed her. The other half dug deeper. One Reddit thread laid out the timeline, receipts, side-by-side video clips. The top comment? "You didn't alchemize trauma, you laundered it." Meanwhile, I was silent. Not a tweet, not a whisper, just letting the paper speak. And the paper was loud. The local paper ran a headline that week. Wellness influencer, accused of inheritance fraud. Below it, a screenshot of Jeanette mid-toast, mid-smug smile, mid-lie. Mom must have lost her mind seeing that. But I wouldn't know. She never contacted me again. Dad called once. I didn't answer. He didn't leave a message. I imagined him pacing their half-empty kitchen, wondering where it all went wrong. I could have told him. It went wrong the moment they decided their golden child's healing was worth more than my grief. The moment they touched something that wasn't theirs. That night, Callie and I sat on the back deck of her place. Whiskey in hand, stars overhead. No music, just quiet. "You feel done?" she asked. I sipped, thought a moment. "No," I said. "I feel clear." She nodded. "That's better." We toasted to that. And the next day, I finalized the duplicate ring Dylan once designed as a backup, just in case we lost the original. He'd made a version with a different stone, one he never finished. I did. Had it mounted, polished, then donated it to a National Grief Foundation as a silent auction item. The tag simply read, "Donated anonymously in memory of Dylan Morse. Designed with love." Let them guess where it came from. Let them wonder who I'd become. Because the truth is, I didn't need revenge anymore. I had something far better. Distance, documentation, and dignity. I didn't think they'd show their faces again. But then Easter rolled around. The holiday my mom once called a sacred family moment. I used to bring deviled eggs. Jeanette brought drama. This year, they brought subpoenas. I didn't serve them myself, of course. That would have been too loud, too easy. Instead, we had them delivered, in person, by a paralegal wearing pastel, at the same rooftop brunch spot, right in the middle of Jeanette's spring renewal workshop. She was mid-affirmation when the woman walked in with a clipboard and a calm smile. "Jeanette Keene?" Everyone turned. Jeanette blinked, still clutching her sage bundle. The woman handed over the envelope. "Consider yourself served." The clip went viral again. Only this time, the hashtags weren't #HealingQueen. They were #inheriting consequences. Mom and Dad got theirs later that afternoon. The delivery report had a note. Recipient Lorraine Keene asked if she could pray over the papers first. I couldn't make this stuff up. Later that night, the local paper updated the story. Influencer, parents named in civil suit, over $590,000 inheritance theft. The internet? Exploded. Commenters pieced everything together: insurance fraud, identity misuse, estate clause violations. Suddenly, their little family brand cracked wide open. Jeanette turned off her comments. Dad's LinkedIn disappeared. Mom's book club Instagram went dark. And me? I poured myself a glass of red wine, curled up in Dylan's old flannel, and watched the fireworks from my phone. Ella called again. She was crying this time. "I just want you to know you honored him," she said. And I believed her. Because I hadn't screamed, hadn't slandered, I had just acted. Quietly. Precisely. Exactly the way Dylan lived. Callie called it the softest sledgehammer we've ever swung. I called it peace. For the first time in years, I stopped waking up angry. Stopped checking if the ring was in the box. I knew where it was. And I knew what it had cost. I didn't want it back anymore. Because it didn't mean what it used to. Love doesn't live in metal. It lives in memory. And mine? Were intact. Untouched. Unrented. The final audit report landed on Callie's desk by May. It said everything we already knew. Ring was stolen. Claim was filed in Morgan's name. Funds were misused. Evidence was irrefutable. And the recommended penalties? $310,000 in restitution and legal fees. Public trust correction. Seizure of remaining family assets tied to the estate. Callie grinned when she read it. They'll never recover. I didn't respond right away. Because I didn't need them to suffer. I just needed them to stop pretending I didn't exist. The last email I ever received from my mother came the next day. It was blank. No message. Just a forwarded legal notice confirming receipt of the court findings. I stared at it for a long time. Then I archived it. Didn't reply. Didn't delete it. Just let it vanish where it belonged. Into silence. Because that was the loudest confession they could give me. I wasn't going to answer the door. But I looked through the peephole anyway. And there she was. Mom. No makeup. Puffy eyes. Hair pulled back in a rushed bun. That made her look older than I'd ever seen her. She didn't knock again. Just stood there, holding something wrapped in a dish towel. I opened the door halfway. Said nothing. She blinked fast, like tears would help her case. "Can I come in?" I shook my head. "You're here. Say it from there." She swallowed. "It wasn't supposed to go this far." I raised an eyebrow. "That your apology?" She fumbled. "We made mistakes. We didn't understand how much that ring meant to you." "You mean Dylan," I corrected. She nodded slowly. "Yes, him too. Like he was a footnote, a casualty of their convenience." She held out the towel-wrapped bundle. "I brought something." I didn't take it. She set it gently on the doorstep. "I found it in the attic. One of his old sketchbooks. Thought maybe you'd want it." I glanced down. I knew the cover. Black leather. Worn edges. He used to doodle gemstone cuts and band curves during Sunday coffee. I picked it up. Slowly. Not for her. For him. Mom took that as an invitation. "I never meant to hurt you." I met her eyes. "But you did. You let her wear it. You watched the video. You filed the claim." Her voice cracked. "We thought you were done with life. You wouldn't leave your apartment for months. We didn't know what else to do. You let Jeanette steal from me because I was grieving." She didn't answer. Because what could she say? She'd sold off the last piece of the man I loved, so her favorite child could go tan her trauma in Bali. "I'm not here to beg," Mom said. "Good," I replied. "Because you wouldn't get anything." She winced. "I just wanted to say, we didn't know who you'd become." I tilted my head. "What do you mean?" "You always stayed small. Quiet. Easy." There it was. The confession. I let it sit between us like smoke. Then I said, calm and steady, "I didn't change. I just stopped shrinking." She started crying then. Real tears. But I didn't flinch. Because I wasn't a little girl begging to be seen anymore. I was the woman holding the deed, the filings, the proof. I was the one who remembered every time they erased me. And I was done. I stepped back. 1 foot inside, 1 foot out. "Tell Dad," I said, "that his dental bill's not my problem." She nodded through sobs, then whispered, "Do you forgive us?" I didn't hesitate. No. Her face twisted, like she'd been slapped. But I wasn't angry. I was clear. "I don't forgive you," I said again, voice even. "And that's freedom." Then I shut the door. Gently. No slam. No curse. Just a final click that echoed through the quiet. Later that night, I lit a candle beside Dylan's sketchbook and opened the first page. His handwriting. "Every gem starts as pressure. So do people." I smiled, because I finally understood what he meant. The case closed in early June. The judge called it a rare, irrefutable act of inheritance fraud. Final order: $310,000 in restitution and legal fees. All insurance funds repaid, plus penalty interest. Permanent removal from Dylan's trust beneficiary list. Public correction of all family claims to the estate. They lost their second home. Their retirement was gutted. Jeanette's wellness brand was blacklisted by every platform that once amplified her. And me? I didn't gloat. I didn't post a victory reel. I just disappeared. Quietly. Strategically. Callie and I toasted with whiskey and a playlist of Dylan's old favorites. We didn't need words. The silence was its own celebration. I used my portion of the recovered funds to do one thing: start over. Flagstaff, Arizona. A city Dylan once said, smelled like stars and stone. I found a space tucked between a florist and a record shop. Signed the lease within 10 minutes of walking in. White walls. Sunlight that poured in like honey. A back room just big enough for a sketch desk and kiln. I opened Ashlight Design 6 weeks later, private commissions only. No storefront. No press. Just quiet, curated work with meaning. Every piece had a story. Every piece had my hand in it. On the wall behind my workbench, I framed one of Dylan's original sketches from the black leather book. The caption beneath read, "Every gem starts as pressure. So do people." I wore a new ring now. Not the original, not the replica. A new one. Just a smooth platinum band, no stone. Engraved on the inside, with Dylan's initials and mine, side by side. Simple, solid, unbreakable. Like who I'd become. One afternoon, a delivery came to the studio. No name, just a card that said, "You were always the stronger one. I see that now." Ella inside was a single blue sapphire, rough cut, still full of edges. I knew exactly what I'd do with it. Not for sale, not for show, just mine. The last time I saw anything from my family, it came as a notice. Their lawyer filed a request to unseal an old family asset account to try and recoup losses. Callie sent it straight back with 2 words: denied, irrevocable. That was the last paper they ever tried to file. That was the last sound they made in my life. And I didn't miss them. Not even a little. Because the version of me that craved their approval, she died the same day Dylan did. The woman who remained? She didn't need to win. She just needed to reclaim. And she did.